All right. Thanks everybody for joining us today. I'm John Harrington from Phenom, Director of Product Marketing. Today we're here to present Candidate Experience Secrets of the Fortune 500 with Regions Bank. Today I am joined, we're going to do a quick round of introductions, but joined by Ryan King, Executive VP and Head of TA at Regions Bank. Ryan, I don't know if you want to give yourself a quick intro before we jump into the agenda.
Sure, John. Great to be here. Regions Bank is headquartered in Birmingham, Alabama. We have roughly 20,000 associates. Our TA team is about 56 TA professionals strong, and just really excited about our Phenom partnership and looking forward to sharing some of the good news with you today.
Awesome. Thanks for being on with us. We're really excited to have you here. Again, I'm John Harrington on the product marketing team at Phenom, and I'm also joined by Faina D'Angelo, Senior Director and Manager of Solutions Consulting at Phenom. Faina, I don't know if you want to give yourself a quick intro as well.
Wonderful. Well, very nice to have everyone joining us today and meeting with Ryan. I lead one of our solution consultant teams and partnering with our product and, of course, clients. So I'm very excited for today's conversation. I'll turn it over back to you, John.
Thank you. So today, no mistake, we're going to be spending some time going through our recent State of the Candidate Experience 2023 benchmarks report, the 7th annual for our Fortune 500 audits. We'll be starting off with some key findings from the 2023 research. We'll get into our career site audit methodology. Then, of course, we'll hand it off for a quick Q&A session with Regions Bank and Ryan to go through their journey with Phenom, how they got to where they are with their candidate experience and what they have on tap for the future. And then we'll wrap up with a quick overview of the Regions Bank career site, giving you some specifics into how it looks when you put it into practice. So just to start off, going into the report itself, all that we do here at Phenom is in the interest of our purpose, which is to help 1 billion people find the right job. In alignment with our purpose, we publish an annual report known as the State of Candidate Experience, and this is the 7th annual that we've put together, where we evaluate career sites of the Fortune 500 across 4 key areas: attraction, engagement, conversion, and use of artificial intelligence. And so in September of 2022, we began the audit process, which we wrapped up in February, evaluating every career site for the Fortune 500 organizations. And we have a set of rankings and results that come out of those audits. So there's 4 different categories that any given organization that's in the Fortune 500 could fit into. Exceptional, meaning across those criteria, attraction, engagement, and conversion, they've rated themselves very, very well across those 4 categories. The ability to attract candidates, engage them on the career site, and convert them, and where AI, automation, personalization, dynamic updates find their way into the experience to improve upon it further. Acceptable means there is room for improvement. However, there are some absolute identifiable factors at play across that criteria where the candidate career site is doing a great job at attracting, engaging, and converting. Unsatisfactory would be in the 50 to 59 range, where there's an absolute set of things that can be done to make the candidate experience better. And poor means not nearly enough is being done. And the whole objective for the audits and why we publish this research is to help organizations see where they stand, help them understand where they actually benchmark against their peers in similar industries, and also provide recommendations that can be followed to make the candidate experience better. So it's an educational tool that's based upon an audit that was undertaken at a point in time. Every year when we publish the research, our goal is to really outline where we see improvements being made and across all of the organizations that fit into the Fortune 500. This year, 95% made it more easy for anyone that's navigating to a career site from a mobile device, a tablet, or a desktop to get a better experience. So better quality, easy to find what they're looking for, regardless of the type of device they're on. We also saw that 87% were using much better job descriptions and representations of the role that they're trying to hire for, what qualifications and responsibilities need to be met by the applicant. Similarly, we saw some strides being made in terms of market awareness of the roles that are being posted and made available for people to apply for across a variety of different job posting sites. We also saw an incorporation of video content across career sites and better navigation, making it easier for people to find what they're looking for. There were also some problem areas and areas where there can be more done across the Fortune 500 to improve the candidate experience. Making it easier to use social accounts, for example, and completing an application using your social login. Making it easier for folks who are looking for specific jobs to find what they're looking for based on their history, and personalizing recommendations based on that context. Furthermore, only 15% of the career sites that were audited had a chatbot, and conversational AI is making it so much easier for candidates to find the types of jobs they're looking for, reducing friction and improving the experience. Branding was another problem area where we didn't see enough consistency across the career site. So maybe the homepage, but maybe not actual job postings where the brand is being upheld and represented as best as possible. The speed of the application process, only 11% of the career sites audit had an intuitive search and apply process. So cutting down on the amount of time that it takes for a candidate to find a job and apply for it reduces the chance of someone bouncing and going somewhere else to submit an application. Search functionality was another problem area where only 12% had a type ahead search feature, and where a search function could actually identify what roles would be appropriate based on keywords being inputted into the search bar. There weren't all negatives though. So I just gave an outline of some of the things we found from a trend perspective on the positive and negative front. All of these are opportunities to learn and see what can be done better to improve upon the candidate experience across the Fortune 500. And given we've done this for 7 years, we also analyzed career experiences across the Fortune 500 over a multi-year period. And we've seen a lot of great strides being made. 250% are increasing job recommendations based on browsing history, which is a huge jump year over year. We're also seeing 150% increase in the use of chatbots. So even though there's still more work to be done across the Fortune 500, over 3 years, we've seen a very big jump in the amount of chatbots being adopted and put into practice from a candidate experience perspective. 145% are making it easier to navigate the career site, which was one of the other areas where there's room for improvement, even though there's still some work yet to be done. Again, another area where we're seeing strides being made to improve upon years past approaches to incorporating different changes throughout a career site to make it easier to navigate and find what people are looking for. There were some other advantages being afforded by the technology today that is being adopted across organizations the past few years. Displaying recently viewed jobs, increasing the use of video content, and making job descriptions easier to read, understand, and align with someone's qualifications. So that's not all in a bad light. There's tons of takeaways from this type of research that's being used and incorporated into the candidate experience for the organizations that are using it as an educational tool. I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar that Regions is on with us today. And one of the things that sets them apart is their exceptional candidate experience. So again, over that 75 rating, Regions ranked a 76 overall. And just a quick overview of some of the things that were audited for this year's report that allowed them to stand apart from the rest of the pack. You'll see their job search is unbelievably good, making it easy for people to identify the role that they're looking for on the site. Personalization and chatbot are other areas where they're excelling. Dynamic content updates, social login, and job search personalization, tons of advantages being afforded by use of AI on the career site. And I'm not here to tell Ryan's story. He's here on with us today to get into some of the specifics of what made all of this come together. So I'm gonna introduce Ryan back into the conversation now, and excited to hear some things about your story and how you got where you are. So maybe we could start off there. Tell us about your journey. What were you encountering when you began working with Phenom? What were some of the challenges that you were experiencing, and what were some of your aspirations?
Yeah, it's been a journey. That's for sure. Our journey with Phenom began in 2018. It sounds like a lifetime ago, but time has certainly flown by. We were going through a pretty major transformation at the time. It included a centralization process of all HR resources into one central hub in Birmingham. We were completely revamping our HR model. And at the time, we had just started the creation of our centralized TA function. So that HR centralization process allowed us to finalize that centralization process. Our initial desire was really to transform our career site. And that's what we got into this for. We had all the makings of a great employer brand, great reputation, impeccable culture, strong financial acumen, great location. We just didn't have the right vehicle to get that brand into the external candidate population. Our career site at the time had links, it had pictures, it had videos, but that's it. It was very bland, very static. And we knew that we needed to get to something that was much more dynamic and engaging. We became a customer in 2020. So it took us about 2 years to make that final decision. We went live with the external piece in the winter of 2021, went live with the internal side of things in the winter of 2022. And we are about to go live with hosted apply and two-way hiring status early next month. So we are expecting that our numbers next year will be even better.
And obviously, just from hearing some background on where you were looking to go, where you are today, and what's in store for the future, candidate experience is still going to remain a large priority, right? And I'd be curious to hear from you, noting that we put this research out every year. How impactful is this data candidate experience report, and how useful are some of the findings, the takeaways, the trends? How easy is it for you to relate back what you're learning and seeing and hearing from what we're putting out in this research, and being able to apply it to how you improve upon the way your candidate experience is being delivered going into the future?
Yeah, you touched on really the generic makeup of the report. When you look at things like attraction and engagement and conversion, it's pretty simple, honestly. And it really wasn't until we started to do our own deep dive into the report after we became a customer that we could really identify the key aspects in each of those three categories where we can make improvement. We all realize that we can make improvement in the fourth category, AI. That's something that we're all working on. But every year when I open the report, I'll be honest, the first thing that I do is go find regions. I look to see what our ranking is. Forget all of the other stuff in the other 137 pages. I want to know what our ranking is. After that, I go to the challenges section, because you showed two slides that really are important for all of us that are either in a TA leadership role or in TA in general. These are the challenges that we're all faced with. I mean, you mentioned things like maximizing social content, maximizing your brand, personalizing jobs. And those things are really critical as you move into 2023, 2024, 2025. Candidates are expecting a different experience from all of us, and we need to be able to deliver that.
And when you're looking at the data, and I think you hinted at, that's the first thing you want to get an understanding of where you stand today. Do you find it easy to pinpoint, when you're looking at the data that's in the report, where you're doing well compared to maybe years past? And what are some of the things that you have your work cut out for you still on, and really set your sights on what's next for you? Do you think that it's a useful tool, and how to be able to implement change?
Yeah, well, you didn't ask me this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I keep an Excel spreadsheet. This is how ridiculous I am with this. And we look at the rankings year over year. So I can tell you exactly where we were ranked in every category going back to 2018. And I will share that. Overall, we were ranked 381 out of 500. That's pretty bad. I'm not really good at math, but that's definitely in the bottom quartile of the Fortune 500. In 2022, we were number 9. So if that gives you any indication, by taking this information, dissecting it with your team, and putting strategies in place to increase the efforts in those areas, you can make a significant impact. Now, we did fall a little bit this past year to number 16, but in other areas we increased. So it's a very important piece of our strategic puzzle.
And do you feel, as you've seen your score improve, you're really noticing a difference? Like things that you're hearing from candidates, I don't know if you're gathering NPS data or you have any anecdotal feedback from the type of experience that maybe people were accustomed to in the past. And now, how has that translated into better results, better sentiment of how the experience has been since you've been making strides and using data to guide your decisions to improve upon the experience?
Yeah, I will tell you, we are actually in the process now of creating a candidate experience survey, if you will. I hate to use the term survey, but that's really what it is. And I'm really anxious to see how that information will result in changes for us as we move forward. But if you just look at the results, the volume of activity really truly speaks for itself. We're averaging over 100,000 visitors to our career site a month, and that doesn't just happen naturally or organically. You have to put in the work to get that to happen. Of that 100,000, we're receiving roughly 25,000 applicants a month. That's a lot of applicant flow. We average anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 open requisitions a month. So that's a lot of people that we're saying no to. So it's really important that our career site continue that engagement with people. Almost think of it as a drip campaign from a marketing perspective to keep the region's name and region's brand in front of the candidate. On the recruiter side, I mean, we can talk for days about our metrics because we're hiring more people than we've ever had hired. We're hiring them quicker than we ever have before. And the best news of all is that our new hire turnover is as low as it's been since I've been here. So all of this activity results in a better hire, which is the ultimate goal for us all.
It's pretty astounding that you were able to make that much of an impact in it's been years, but not many, right? Yeah. It just does sound like a true overnight success story. And I think those listening in are probably chopping at the bit to figure out how can they go from, like you said, bottom quartile to top in the industry or possibly in the entire index of Fortune 500. What are the types of building blocks that went into the strategy that you put together to actually go from aspiration to action to the types of results that you just mentioned?
Yeah, we're a very strategic, focused team. We go through a very tedious process once a year of looking back. So assessing all of the strategic and honestly and tactical work that we've done throughout the year. And we use all of that information to look forward, to create a strategic roadmap for the future. So in 2017, when I got here, we created a roadmap. In 2018, we redid it, 19 and moving forward. And each year, the candidate experience piece of that strategy has become more and more important. I can tell you that right now, about 66% of our entire talent acquisition strategy, our entire roadmap focuses on the candidate and the experience that the candidate goes through when they engage with us. I can also tell you just how important a relationship with your marketing and communications team is. We own our career site in partnership with Phenom. What we don't own is all of the content. We need experts to help us get content that is engaging and that tells the story so that we can use that to share. So it's almost as if we allow the marketing and communications team to do the hard work for us. We just have a vehicle now to get that information out to the audience. And last but not least, just like for us, every day our digital banking team is attempting to create new and better and engaging products for our banking customers. We need to do the same for our candidates in creating personal content related to jobs, related to our benefits, related to DEI, related to how we engage with the community. All of those things are important because it's more about just the job description. It's about the company and how that can be a way of life for a new candidate.
Totally. I feel like that's a lot for folks listening in to work with, and in terms of just saying, okay, how do I do that where I am and in the context of what I'm trying to accomplish? So I think that's very helpful. I would say another element that might be interesting to folks that are trying to put a strategy into place, trying to take an iterative approach, trying to get an understanding of how the efforts they're making are making any sort of difference. What would you recommend as far as goals to set or things to look for from a success standpoint early on? And then how do you use that to shape the rest of the strategy over a longer period of time?
Yeah, I think for us, the number one thing that happened that really was an eye opener for me was we started to receive feedback from some of the other hiring managers or some of the other business leaders that saw content for other businesses on our career site. For instance, you may have somebody in technology that visited our career site and saw something that we had posted related to the corporate bank. They started reaching out to us and asking us questions. How could they have the same content or better than their peers in another business? So, when you start talking about setting goals, be careful not to set goals and standards per business. Set goals for the enterprise. And I'm not saying that we did that. I just think it happened accidentally that we initially focused just on the high volume areas of our recruiting operation instead of the entire company. So now, we're creating microsites for even the smallest of business groups within the company, so that everybody can have that exposure. What's amazing is that we have actually, through this process, created demand from our clients. We call our hiring managers clients, which is unusual for TA to have created demand for something like this. So look at it from that perspective, and I think that would help.
Yeah, that's actually answering the next question I had, which was what advice would you have for folks that are just getting started on this journey, right? Where they're probably looking to get some perspective from someone who's been there before and done it. And I think that is an actual great example from something you learned early on, and maybe how you would have approached it differently had you known what you know now. I think that in general, when you're trying to put together a good approach, oftentimes you have aspirations and then you see how it actually plays out. But it sounds like from everything you've shared with us, everyone's getting on board and they're seeing the advantages and they want in on it, right? And I think that's really great to hear that people are trying to co-create and take advantage of some of the opportunities that might be available to them if you're taking that holistic approach and taking all the different form factors in terms of how people find and navigate to the appropriate jobs. And make sure that you're accommodating. So thanks for sharing that example. I think it's a powerful one. I think as far as the candidate experience report is concerned, another thing that I would just add, and this is kind of transitioning over to the demo where we're going to actually get into the career site and show some examples of what Regions site has. And I think as Fana goes into it, you'll see from an attraction, engagement, conversion perspective, some of the things that Regions is doing particularly well. Another thing that's really useful is the benchmarking aspect of it, using the data to guide decisions. Not everyone listening in today is part of the Fortune 500. Not everyone gets the advantage of seeing the data come before them. And one thing I wanted to make everyone aware of is that doesn't hold you back from being able to learn from this and take some of the examples Ryan shared into account within your organization. Phenom does offer custom audits, and we can make that available to you to get an actual inside look at where your career site currently stands across that criteria, pinpoint opportunities for improvement, and figure out where do you start your journey in optimizing and improving upon your candidate experience. So definitely wanted to call that out for folks, especially considering how important the data is in informing the decision making, constructing the strategy, and figuring out where priorities exist. And I didn't want that to go without being called out for those that are looking to put an actual plan into practice. Ryan, before we transition to the demo, any other things that you would say from an advice standpoint for anyone that's looking to get started? I know you're actually in a position now after multiple years of doing this and iterating, where your feedback and advice, I think, would go a long way. And I think another thing that was interesting from a prior conversation we had, you mentioned folks ask you questions, and you want to use this as an opportunity to get some of those FAQs out there. So what are some of the things you would share from the experience you've had working with your peers?
Yeah, this is really simple. I think there are 4 things that you can do. Number one, develop a strategy. I think sometimes leaders feel like they can just go out and purchase a piece of technology, plug it in, and it's going to work. You have to adopt it, and you have to create a strategy around it, which leads me to number 2. Once you have that strategy, make sure that you embrace it with your team, and make sure that your team is completely bought into that strategy. Because number 3, you also need to get buy-in at the highest levels of your organization. You know, I'm very fortunate in that our CHRO is very passionate about people and recruiting. So he is completely bought into everything that we're doing from a TA perspective. And then last but not least, and I briefly mentioned this earlier, utilize the content that you already have available at your fingertips. All of you have great marketing and communications minds within your company. Use that information, because if they're already publicizing it out in the public domain, take it and share it. It's already free to use. So you have an employer brand, you just may not know that you do.
That's great advice. We're going to have to package that up into like a blog so people can actually take, instead of having to take the notes, they can go through that like a checklist. I think you've actually prescriptively laid out what people should do. So I appreciate your attention to detail and responding to that.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of people will find that useful. Ryan, anything else before we jump over to the demo? I think people are probably chomping at the bit. They've heard a lot about your site. Now it might be time to show them what it looks like and how they can aspire to get on the Regions Bank level.
Yeah, I say let's watch the demo. I'm excited to sit back and watch somebody else demo on site. I may have some questions myself.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're jumping in. Fana, the floor is yours.
All righty. Well, Ryan, hopefully I do not disappoint and make sure that we make you proud. All righty. So everyone should be seeing, of course, the Regions career site page. Really important to know for everyone on the line and, of course, within the Zoom, is that this is going to be embedded, and this is embedded today within Regions company website page. And Ryan really mentioned a lot of important pieces around brand and making sure that each portion of their brand is represented and has its own EVP. So within the content management system that Ryan and his team has, and please know that this was created for talent acquisition and not actually for marketing, is where you can load all of your content in there and spin up different types of branding and EVP pages for all of your different groups. As Ryan mentioned earlier, diversity inclusion. This was really new and important to their organization in terms of building out a strategy, creating a culture of inclusion, and of course, building out a community. This is more than just a career site page. This is truly the first interaction that every lead, applicant, intern, college student, and even event registrant is going to see when they're engaging with Regions brands. They've created pages for their culture, their benefits, a separate EVP for interns and grads, and even promoting recruitment events, not just for college or career events, but including also D&I events as well. Now, for Regions and everything that Ryan mentioned, it's really important for them to have a really easy and intuitive experience, because every single one of their clients could be a candidate and vice versa. So making sure that it's a consumer grade experience, but on the TA side. And that is truly where they have ranked so high in and had such incredible success with the amount of visits they have to their site and applicants. Now, another important portion is we are taking what they're doing with their ATS workday and we're just elevating it. We didn't add more work for Ryan's recruiters and team. His team posts jobs in Workday and the jobs are pulled over with our Workday APIs. Now, additionally, based on the AI and some of the biggest benefits and the scoring that Regions had was really around, again, SEO, job search, which we're looking at in a minute, dynamic content, which we'll go further in, and personalization through AI. So first and foremost, it's a semantic smart search. People are used to searching on Google when they're searching for something such as, where do I go and buy CDs or look into financial, investment? That is the same type of technology that Regions is now offering for their candidates, because not everyone knows Regions job titles are pulled in from Workday, and that's again blending in that AI and of course the technology when it comes to talent acquisition. Additionally, what we were talking about earlier was attraction, engagement, conversion. So bringing everything that our team has been talking about, John and Ryan bringing it to light. Now, what Regions also set up was different browsing categories, so different EVPs based on different job families and departments, organizations within Regions, from corporate to contact center, all the way through to even risk management and technology, because those are different types of jobs, they're different types of EVPs, and different types of personas. And they wanted to make it a very personalized experience for every single one of those individuals that engages with their brand. Additionally, there are 7+ different ways that Ryan and his TA team and all of their applicants that we heard about, the 25,000, there's 7 different ways for them to capture applicants throughout their entire journey with Regions. Because as we know, most job seekers come back to a site and do research without applying anywhere from 3 to 11 times. And the traditional way prior to Regions partnering with Phenom was the only way was for these applicants to go through the formal apply process in Workday or their any other ATS and create that forced registration. But that's not how job seekers actually look for jobs. They do research, they leave their information, maybe in a talent community, engage with a chatbot that we'll talk about, and various other ways I'll show you today. Additionally, Ryan and his team are able to, through the content management system, drag and drop different specific information about their employer brand, and they could change it within just minutes and have the autonomy to do so without a ticketing system, from their corporate culture to military employment and diversity improvement, to even actually hearing the day in the life of current employees to truly add color more than just a job description. It's really important for a lot of individuals today when they're looking at a job. It's more than just a job. What are they doing to the with the community? How are they investing in their current employees, including, of course, benefits, awards and recognitions, environmental, all the way through to understanding their entire hiring process. Now, let's actually jump in and get started and look a little bit more on the personalization and then, of course, the actual conversion and engagement. So I'm just going to click on the consumer banking. As you can see now, the EVP has changed. My friendly chatbot's still following along. I could join the talent community. But this might be similar. Think about your normal consumer shopping experience. It's automatically filtered. It automatically showcases jobs near me because that's where the AI is starting to work. It's starting to learn about me and only present jobs that are based on the right fit for me. First by location, because it's still learning more about me, and then based on all the actions I take. Think about anytime that you're gonna go order food online or get coffee, it automatically shows you the nearest location. And we're used to that in our consumer experience every day. And that's what Regions has done, is bringing to the candidate experience forefront. So let's just say that I have experience and I am really interested in the relationship banker position. I could save this job just like I would to a shopping cart, and then in a couple of weeks come back. I could come back right here from my desktop or on my mobile phone. It's going to be in my shopping cart. But in the background, Ryan's team has also set up drip marketing nurturing campaigns. And this is all a part of the solution, where individuals, as long as they leave any of their basic information, and again, opt in, they could then be nurtured to finish and apply to that job. This is truly where the game is starting to change, because less than 90% of all individuals that come to any company's website formally go through the full application process. But now you're going to be capturing that top of funnel. And that truly is so important when it comes to hard to fill positions that are you have high turnover, and including high volume positions as well. Right here, I could sign up for similar job alerts, get those email campaigns. Additionally, we were talking about AI. AI is truly the foundation of this entire career site and truly the EVP and the branding tool. So right away, the jobs will be pulled again from their ATS from Workday. And based on the job description, experience, skill set, and location, it'll even show up jobs that might be a really good fit for you if you're looking at this job. Additionally, think about when you're shopping on Amazon. It always gets me every time I put something in my cart and it shows me, oh, other people's bought this too as a bundle. That's the same technology here. We're used to the AI and personalization in our day-to-day, and again, bringing this to the talent community. Additionally, the job seekers could share this job on social media. They could actually explore the area, and of course, they could apply to a job here. So this is just a trailer of truly all the ways that Regions has built out the ability for attraction, engagement, conversion, but all tied with the foundation of AI. Now, let's talk about the friendly chatbot that's been following along with me my entire journey. First, I could say I'm interested in this job, or I could even ask the chatbot some questions as well. So this is a conversational AI chatbot. Think of this as a 24/7, 365 recruiter, because I know for talking to Ryan, his TA team, his recruiters, they have to go home at a certain point. They're not working around the clock, but candidates are looking at their jobs around the clock. So this is just another way to, again, capture attraction, engagement, conversion as well. As I mentioned before I even applied to a job, I could ask questions. Ryan's chatbot is loaded with hundreds of typical Q&A questions, but then they're configured specifically for Regions. So if a candidate wanted to ask their benefits, wanted to ask about their holiday days, maybe learn about the CEO, all of that could be then loaded inside and for that conversational AI. But going back real quick, now I'm going to put in my full name. It's a good thing I didn't misspell it. That typically happens when you're on air. And now you can see the entire experience has been personalized for me. Here's an F for Faina D'Angelo. Nice to meet you, Faina. And now I'm putting in my basic information. Again, I am not applied to a job, but now a lead has been created in this CRM. And if I want to opt in, now we'll get that nurturing campaigns to be engaged till I formally apply to a job. And that is that simple, that easy for Ryan and his team to fill top of funnel, reduce all of the areas of drop off, and additionally, utilizing personalized AI to keep individuals engaged and have that consumer grade experience that they are used to in their day-to-day lives. So from there, I know Ryan mentioned they're going to be integrating and adding host apply. That is an area where it's actually going to now capture not just leads, but also partial applicants as well, individuals that are starting their Workday Apply process but might drop off throughout. And on average, Regions is seeing about 27 leads per job. They're, of course, are now going to be in the future capturing partial applicants as well. So for today, we covered one, how the content management system is going to be integrated within their career site page and not a new window. It is all built on SEO foundation and integrated with Google for Jobs. Additionally, we went through how the entire career site and all the content and landing pages could be spun up and created by Ryan and his team based on what kind of message they want to present to their candidates, from D&I to events, and then every type of specific department and or company that are under the Regions brand. From there, we talked about how we're going to supercharge, and we supercharged their system of record, their ATS, by adding on top of layers of semantic smart search, capturing leads at every stage in the process here, and having a personalized experience, even when you come back weeks or months later. And here's that live example. Let's just say that I came back 2 months later. As you can see here, it is personalized for me. I can even edit my profile. I could sign up for similar job alerts, join their talent community, and of course, at any point in time, learn more about the organization with a 24/7, 365 recruitment team that is always supercharged and working on attraction, engagement, and conversion, all based on foundational AI. Awesome. Well, I'm going to turn it back to you, John. Ryan, do you have any questions about your pages, your career site, and did I miss anything that you wanted to make sure we covered today?
No, the only thing you missed is I don't allow our recruiters to go home at night. Our recruiters are working. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that the chat bot is and has been a game changer. I had no idea just how important that one little piece of technology was going to be for our career site when we partnered with Phenom. So it's been a game changer, and certainly excited to see where it goes from here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And Ryan, I will never make that mistake again.
Please don't.
All righty. John, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think just starting from the top to the middle to the end of the webinar, all of these recommendations you can see here, the actions we're recommending are based upon what we're seeing and hearing from the Fortune 500, what we've observed from Ryan and Regions Bank's experience, and how that's manifested on the career site. So when we think about key actions we're recommending for those listening in, personalizing the candidate experience goes an extremely long way. And Fana's examples about engaging with the chatbot, telling it a little bit of information about yourself, seeing how that carries not just into the experience someone's having in the moment, but how that continues when they come back to the career site to keep them engaged, help them find the most relevant content. The showcasing of your employer brand. That actually carries over even to Ryan's background, but it was all over the career site as well. The continuity from page to page, helping people see and relate to Regions in a much better way by making a concerted effort to ensure that the brand is showing up as best as possible through the power of content and how the brand's being represented. And we didn't have time to go through every example, but Regions site, definitely go check it out. Lots of video content and employee testimonials too that can be used to help people that are looking for jobs understand how they can relate to the brand. So they're doing an incredible job there that a lot of folks can learn from. And then last but not least, keeping your ear close to the streets on the advancement of technology that's being put into practice to make candidate experiences even better. An example would be Phenom X Plus, generative AI that helps anyone that's looking to create a job description use generative AI to ensure that that job description has the right qualifications, the right skills, the right alignment with what you're actually looking to hire for in any given role. So continuing to learn and observe how to improve the candidate experience this will not be the last State of Candidate Experience report we publish. And hopefully everyone listening in today was able to take something away and begin applying it coming out of the event. If any questions came up throughout the event that people had top of mind, I did want to also just make our information available. Ryan's, myself, Faina, for anyone that wanted to follow up with us with any questions you might have had related to the content we went through today. So I'll leave this up for a moment for anyone who wants to take our contact info down. We'd be happy to engage with you further and continue the conversation. So for all who listen in today, hopefully you found this helpful. Ryan, can't thank you enough for being on as our special guest. We're looking forward to including you in more of these because your point of view and your perspective is really valuable to helping make everyone's candidate experience better. And Faina, thank you for the extremely good demo. It was very illustrative of what a great candidate experience looks like. So can't thank you all enough for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.